I'm going to call the meeting to order. This is the Monroe County Women's Commission. Hi. We'll get to you in a second. Perfect timing. The commission shall serve in an advisory role to assist residents, businesses, and the government of Monroe County in addressing issues of gender equity. The mission is to advance the status of women and marginalized genders in all areas of county life. I think before we do anything, I want to introduce Eve.
Hello.
So do you guys want to start with you, or do you want to end with you, Eve? We'll end with you, yeah?
Sure, that sounds great.
Okay, so let's go around. We have a couple people not here, but we'll just go with the people who we are, just names and what we do and how long. I don't know, whatever you want to say about yourself.
Well, I'm Julie Hardesty. I'm vice chair for the Women's Commission this year, and I'm a librarian at Indiana University.
How long have you been here?
On the Women's Commission?
Yeah.
I don't actually know. Is it 3 years? I think it's 3. I think it's my 3rd year. That's right.
Or, yeah, somewhere in there.
I think we're all 3. I think we all started at the same time, but that's why we can't remember. I'm Molly Otto. I'm the current secretary. I've been on for about 3 years, and I'm a practice manager at a local law firm here.
Yes, I'm Liz Feidel. I'm the county council at large representative, so I'm a liaison. But in a previous life, I served on this commission too, several years ago, for quite a while.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Belton. I think I've been here for a year. I'm a nurse at the VA.
I am Susan Hingle, aka Gus is my nickname. People call me that sometimes, so if you'll hear that, you don't get confused. And I am the chair of the Women's Commission on my, I don't know, 2nd or 3rd year here. Yeah, and I've been here as long as they say I have been.
Hi, my name is Eve. Of course, this is just my first meeting here, so just recently appointed, very excited. I've been wanting to do this ever since I was made aware of that this organization existed like a few months ago. I was like, oh, that's awesome. How did I not hear about this until now, especially after living here for almost like 10 years now. But yeah, I'm really excited to finally be part of the organization. But I actually just work just a few doors down from here at the Hilton Garden Inn.
Oh, fun.
Mm-hmm. I work the front desk, but I'm also the head of marketing as well there.
Well, welcome. We're excited to have you. Eventually, because I don't have your email, or I don't know if the phone number, your phone number, because we are a government entity. We're an advisory body for the county council and county commissioners. And so there are things where we have to have quorum, we have to have open door law, things like that we have to do. So that way, just things we have to figure out. So we have to have 4 people in person at a minimum. What?
Jody's online.
Oh.
I'm not sure if anyone else is online, but yeah.
Jody, you here?
Hi guys, I just wanted I just wanted to check in real quick. I'm so sorry that I couldn't be there in person, and wanted to hop on and welcome Eve.
Thanks. So you've met Jody, right?
Yeah, she was the one I interviewed with.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so we'll get to all that eventually. Oh yeah, I probably didn't even get the agenda anyway, sorry. Okay, so we have an agenda that we work from. We do it's pretty succinct agenda because we kind of just try to keep it. We do a lot of our work outside of the meetings because we have subcommittees that we all work on. And then we pretty much a lot of times come here to just report on what's been happening. Anyway, so the first item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda, which anyone saw? Is it? Could approve the agenda.
I saw the agenda, but yeah, I don't know if everyone, do we all, it's the agenda that, the standing,
It's a
essentially the
standing
standing
agenda.
agenda. So
Yeah.
we've got the approval of the agenda, then the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting, and then we'll do commissioner updates, starting with Susan, and then me as vice chair, and then any commissioners that have updates. And then we have old ongoing business, which is where the subcommittees that we have will report out. So there's the policy subcommittee, the data subcommittee, and the outreach subcommittee. And then if there's any new business, we'll do that, and then public comment, if folks are here to make public comment, and then we adjourn. That is the agenda, and to have each time we meet.
Do we do?
I motion to approve the agenda.
I second, yeah.
We don't have to do roll call vote because
Oh, and Tiana's online.
Tiana. Hello. So we have our new commissioner here. Eve, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, Eve. I'm Tiani Roje. Sorry I couldn't
Hi.
be there.
Oh, sorry.
Did you hear me?
Once you start
So I can
speaking,
see.
the camera
There, there.
tends to shift around, and yeah.
So you want to make sure it gets your right side, the good side.
But I thought when people were
Okay.
speaking online that they would end up being the big screen, and that didn't seem to happen either. So maybe it's not working right today.
Okay, well, welcome.
Okay, so we'll do a roll call vote for the approval of the agenda. Julie Hardesty,
Yes.
Molly Otto,
Yes.
Jennifer Belton,
Yep.
Tiana Roje,
Yes.
Eve,
Yes.
Susan Hingle, yes. Approval of the agenda. We sent out the minutes from last month.
I did email them
Yes,
out.
yeah.
I didn't get them out until later, so if we need more time to approve.
I read through them.
I'm good.
Sorry.
I did read through them.
Yeah. I'll move to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Julie Hardesty,
Yes.
Molly Otto,
Yes.
Jennifer Belton,
Yes.
Tiana Roje,
Yes.
Eve.
Yes.
Susan Hingle, yes. The minutes have passed from our last meeting, which was March 17th, or, no, March 20, anyway, something. Okay, so commissioner updates. I'm thinking. The one thing that I am going to say on just my little notice is, county council, I should not have meetings at the end of the day when I don't have brain space to even think of anything. Cheryl Munson was in my Indian Creek Township. We have a community association. We also have a little park on this Saturday, right before our Easter party for our community, which is open to anybody. We are doing we're not dedicating the park to her, but we are commemorating her years of service, especially to the community, to our township out at the Indian Creek Park. So it is at 12:15. Anybody is welcome to come help us commemorate Cheryl Munson, who was a county council person until last fall and is sorely missed and was a great person of service for the community. So
Susan, I'm sorry, what date was that?
what?
That's this Saturday? you said?
Saturday, 12:15.
Thank you.
I think that's all I have. I always remember things later, but I think that's all I have. I did our files a little bit and was trying to do some cleanup.
Oh, on Teams?
Yeah. So I was looking through, trying to find whatever, trying to look for orientation, all that kind of stuff, which again, see who can, what's his name? Liz, can you think of what's the IT person's name?
Greg?
Yes, Greg.
Cone or Crone or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah. I'll talk to Greg so we can get Eve on access to the files and all that's good. Okay. Yeah, that's all I have.
And Jody just mentioned to me, and she said she dropped because she was coughing and then it hurts her nose. So
Oh.
she's had sinus on now.
What do you, Julie?
Okay. So in this year as vice chair, I am taking some adventures into statistics for Monroe County and taking a look at women and marginalized genders and seeing if we can get some kind of snapshot, status sort of picture of women in Monroe County. And for this meeting this month, I tried taking a look at income and economic power of women and marginalized genders in Monroe County. So this is very imperfect and very broad strokes, but this is my first try doing this, so we'll see how this goes and if I need to do things differently, trying to move, with future months and future topics. But so for me, when I was contemplating income and economic power as a topic, that was meaning things like wage gap, women-owned businesses, employment rates, and property ownership. So those were kind of the areas that I looked in. And then something that I figured out pretty quickly is that if I can find any information around those types of indicators by gender from U.S. government-based data, it is only between men and women. So anything else, non-binary, genderqueer, gender fluid, two-spirit, gender identities, none of those are distinguished in that data. And you can find data around those identities, but you have to look at completely different types of surveying and reporting. For anything that approaches statistics for marginalized genders that are not women. And I was not really able to dig into the sources that I was coming across, but I do want to share broad strokes based on all of that. So for wage gap, was able to look at Data USA as a report source between men and women, and that shows that in Monroe County in 2023, women earned 80% of what men earned for the same work. And that's based on U.S. Census Bureau's American Community Survey. Information about wage gaps for other marginalized genders are not available directly from federal government census data, but there are sources that gather data for the LGBTQ plus community nationwide, and gender identities factor into that survey data. So the Human Rights Campaign, it seems to be a big source. It sponsors its own data gathering along with the Williams Institute at UCLA and the Gallup Daily Tracking Survey. So what I'm seeing at this point is that this information is not available at the state level, so there's nothing specific for Indiana or Monroe County. It's across the United States as a whole. And for wage gap analysis from this data, the comparison that they make is to what they term the typical median worker income from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. So according to these data sources, women in the LGBTQ plus community nationwide earn about 87% of the typical worker income, and non-binary, genderqueer, gender fluid, and two-spirit workers' income is 70% of the typical worker. So that's what I was seeing for wage gap, which it's not all Monroe County, but there's kind of a picture there. And looking at business ownership was relatively easier. There was a line item from the U.S. Census Quick Facts sheet for Monroe County, Indiana, from 2022 that shows women-owned businesses totaled 420 in the county out of 3,058 total. So that's about 14% of the businesses in Monroe County.
You say those numbers again?
420 businesses out of 3,058.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's the count that they had in 2022. So about 14% of all businesses in Monroe County were owned by women. Trying to find out information about other marginalized genders as business owners, didn't produce any direct statistics for Monroe County that I could find. But I did find the Indiana Rainbow Chamber of Commerce, which is new to me. It's based in Indianapolis, and it's been in existence since 2002, so it's been around for quite a while. It's a business organization that supports and promotes LGBTQ plus owned and allied businesses in Indianapolis and the state of Indiana, and there are Bloomington businesses listed in that directory. So that is a source, so there's potentially some information out there to be gathered. The employment rate among women is also a line item from the U.S. Census Quick Facts sheet from 2023, and that shows 59% of the civilian labor force in Monroe County were women at that time. So almost 2/3 of people working in Monroe County in 2023 were women. And when it comes to property ownership, It seemed to come out in two different kinds of ways. There was home ownership that I could find, and then farm ownership. That seems to be what you find when you're looking for property ownership. And so for home ownership, I found an analysis of U.S. Census Bureau data from LendingTree. It doesn't break down into county level numbers, but does calculate that in the state of Indiana, 13% of housing units are owned by single females compared to 10.5% of housing units owned by single males. So LendingTree is a for-profit business, but they do, with this reporting, they do explain their methodology, calculating based on the 2023 American Community Survey data from the U.S. Census. So they're starting from that same federal data source. And then farm ownership was not as clear, and that was a little murky, and I was like kind of surprised at what I found, and I want to dig into it more, but I didn't have time. But what I was able to come up with was that from the 2022 Census of Agriculture for Monroe County from the USDA, that is a single report that exists. And in that report, it lists 419 farms in the county in 2022. And what they then break that down into is what they call producers. And there are 741 producers for those 419 farms. And 451 of those producers are male and 290 are female. So 39% of the producers are female. But I don't know if producers are also farm owners. Like, I'm not quite sure what that means, but there's some kind of control. For producers, it's 39%. So it's interesting. It's a higher percentage for farm producers than for business owners. But yeah, I don't know if producers are also farm owners. Like, I don't know if that's like land ownership. But there's some kind of control of that land and what it produces is what that's indicating, I think. So, okay. So in summary, there's a lot that we still don't know from what I looked at here, but we have some sources of data from the U.S. Census, obviously, the Gallup polling and the Human Rights Campaign, which is something I want to dig into more, and the USDA, which I was kind of surprised at, and I'm not quite sure what else we can find in there, but there may be more to look at there. And that's filtered through these various reporting sources that I reviewed for today. So the overall picture for income and economic power in Monroe County, in this broad strokes that I have, is that women and marginalized genders are not making as much money as men, but they make up more of the workforce, and on their own within our state tend to own their own homes more often than men on their own. And but that's like statewide, so I don't know if that holds up in Monroe County. Women and other marginalized genders are not well represented in Monroe County as business owners, only 14%, or farm owners or producers, which is only 39%. But none of this data seems to be very old. So 2022 is the oldest data. So that seems, for what I'm trying to do right now this year, that seems like a solid place in time to take a snapshot or try to take a snapshot of income and economic power for women and marginalized genders in Monroe County. And I feel like we have some solid places to go back to for more information on this topic and future topics regarding the status of women and marginalized genders in Monroe County. And I'm contemplating, depending on what you all think about how this came out, I'm contemplating next month trying to take a look at what I'm calling living in penalization in Monroe County, which is poverty and houselessness, incarceration, those sorts of topics, and how they impact women and marginalized genders in our community.
Nice.
So that's
Awesome.
So yeah, I don't know. Is this a useful thing to do with?
Yeah. Well, you make us all sound smart, that's for sure.
I mean,
I would say that, yeah, the things that you're saying are the things that people are interested in. I think that the next topic is at the forefront of a lot of people's mind. I just listened to an NPR piece on people dying of dehydration in county jails because it's not being looked at in the statistics. They aren't. The cause of death is not negligence. It's just from dehydration, and they die in hospice. So it's not attributed to the jail at all, which one would think that some of those would be women and those who identify as women. So I appreciate bringing it to.
Did you, because one of the things I think is what I started looking into our files for was the two reports that I thought we had, which we do.
Okay.
There is the Bloomington Commission on the Status of Women report.
Oh.
is
I, had,
in
I,
there.
could, I didn't find it yet, so that would be good to see. Yeah.
It's in, I can't remember, because I was, yes, and there was another report that now I can't remember what it was called, but there were two things in there.
Okay, yeah, I will get in touch with you to see what those are, because that would be good to see.
I think this information is excellent due to a compilation of things that people can go look for on the county website to get information from.
Yeah, that's the other thing that we talked about that last time. Like, is there some way that we can provide this in a way that people can see somehow online, and gathering up what these sources are, gathering up what this snapshot, the pictures kind of, forming into as we go.
Yeah, I think also with you citing the sources, that also lets people go places to look to even find updated information from what you've gathered.
Yeah. See, and you can go in and look at the U.S. Census American Community Survey data yourself, and it gets complex super fast, which is why I was like kind of relying on other people that already did this reporting and shaped things before me. So they may or may not be the best sources. Like Lending Tree, I was kind of like, really? But they talked about how they came about all the numbers that they came up with. So it seemed valid. It seemed good.
Well, and I'm okay, one, with if it's not drilled down to our local level, right? I still think it's probably, something we can learn from. And
if I can get to Monroe County, I want to get down to Monroe County if I can.
Well, it also shows us where the gaps are.
Yeah, it's not.
So either is information that's still pointing somewhere. Yeah. And I still find it.
Yeah. And Lending Tree for that statewide single female versus single male home ownership, it was kind of interesting where they were trying to determine how do you group property owners or homeowners as men and women based on other sources within the American Community Survey, and they try to explain like how they came about, how they decided what that grouping was and how they applied it. But yeah, it's not straightforward.
I also think that rubric could go into the rubric that you made last time, and the little graph that you showed.
Yeah,
I think that could fit in there also.
Oh, and just in like if a source is a good like one of these reports, if it's a good source.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great information.
Yeah.
How would you make people aware of it on the county's website?
I don't know. I have no idea.
What about doing a press release or something like that from your Women's Commission?
We're not allowed.
You can't do a press release? Mm-mm. Really?
I think it has to get approved.
Oh.
It has to go through the commissioner's office.
Well, you could ask them, right?
Yeah.
You could share your data and say you'd like to do a press release and see what happens, right? I mean, the worst that can happen is they say no, right? But you won't know until you ask for sure.
Well, and before, I was Penny at the time, said, we don't utilize the county, like social media, there are things, that at the time she was offering us to be able to use, Facebook and things I think would be fun to post on there as well. But, I'm not even sure actually how that happens, but.
It's worth sharing and making people aware where they can find it, right?
Yes, it's figuring out how to put that together as something that is easy to share and post. And to me, it seems like if it's something that would go up like on the Women's Commission website, it would need to be a PDF of some kind that they can easily put out there. But then letting people know, doing a press release, I don't know if that is anything that, I mean, we can ask for it, but I don't know if it's anything that we'd be able to do ourselves. So, yeah. So yeah, I can.
Or maybe even the Bloomington Commission on the Status of Women would be, I don't know if they have the authority to do that, I don't know what their purview is.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But yeah, figuring out how this can come together as like a PDF that is something that people can take in, like a one-pager or something per topic or something, I think could be kind of.
Ooh, I love a good graph.
Yeah, some graphs.
Always interesting, I think. Yeah.
So yeah, something like that. I don't quite, yeah. And I don't quite know, like, what I did for this time didn't feel super super complete. It didn't feel very thorough, and I was like kind of pressed. I was like, what am I even looking at? Where am I going to go find this stuff? So I'm hoping that as I go, I get a little bit more, I get a little bit better at figuring out where to go look for information, and yeah.
So and what we talked about too is us, meeting regularly but getting, because I'm into the data subcommittee, there is the sheet, and at least also compiling or at least working
That might be
jointly with posting sources there.
Yeah, I was actually, that could be really useful for me if I can start off putting things in there and adding to that for you all, and then it's like kind of a place for me to put what I'm finding and starting off with.
I'd be more than happy to help put it together. I have a background in journalism and PR, so I'm kind of used to like putting together like big like things like that together. So I'd be happy to help.
If you're interested in doing that, that would be amazing. Thank you.
I would be.
Great. Awesome.
You have anything else?
That's
A lot.
I know it is a lot, but you never know what Julie has in there.
That's cool. That's good. This was a try. So yeah.
Wonderful. Molly, do you have any updates you'd like to share?
I don't have any updates this month.
Liz, do you have anything you'd like to share?
I don't think so. I'll see if I can think of something, but I didn't come prepared to talk about much of anything at this point. I like to listen to see what's going on. Oh yeah, I could talk about this. So I did bring the little save the date garden walk postcards. So the Garden Club has its annual garden walk this year on Saturday, May 31st from 10 to 2, and Sunday, June 1st from noon to 4, rain or shine, like it says. And so tickets each, the Garden Club uses money from these proceeds to help support community gardening and children's education programs. And so there are agencies that apply for these monies, and they're awarded some every year. I think there were 5 or 6 last year. It's not a whole lot, but they do different things each year from the money, which is the tickets. So you can go online at bloomingtongardenclub.org and find out where the tickets are. That might be the easiest rather than me listing them all here. So bloomingtongardenclub.org. Thank you.
Where's this event being held?
I'm sorry?
Where's this event being held?
Oh, well, there'll be like 6, I think, usually gardens. That's the
so
garden.
it's multiple locations.
Yeah, so you'll when you buy your ticket, there will be a list of where they are, and so you'll know where they are, and you can go. They usually do a map of the best route, but you can pick your own route, right? So you'll know the addresses, and you can figure out where to go, and during those times on those 2 days. It's a nice way to see gardens that are different usually and unique and get ideas, right? It's a fun thing to do. I can't even tell you how many years I've done it, way too many.
Great. Ms. Belton, do you have anything you'd like to share?
Yes, I wanted to invite everyone to join our Women's Build, Habitat for Humanity. I did send the link in our group chat. Our date is September 13th. If you guys want to join, let me know. If you have any questions, let me know. Would love to have everyone.
You know the hours of the build?
7:30 to 4.
Thank you.
Yeah, usually we're at the end of the build. So usually we're like the second to last day, so it's usually a lot of, catch-up work. Clean up.
How many can they use, do you know?
30.
Okay.
Thank you. Tiana, you still there? Do you have any updates? Just general updates?
No, I don't have any updates. I'm still here. I'm just shuffling kids around, so I'm driving back again.
Okay. Eve, do you have anything? Do you have anything you'd like to share?
At this time now.
Okay, great. All right. So we have old and ongoing business. The first one is the policy subcommittee, which I just Sorry, I just lost my spot. Julie, you're on the policy
Yes.
subcommittee. You want to pick
So-
up for me?
So based on feedback from sharing the rubric and the guidelines document, Maria and I reached out to the Gender Studies Department at IU, as well as the Gender Studies librarian, subject librarian at IU, and we heard back from the librarian. So, we heard back from the Gender Studies librarian, and they have some additional sources for us to review, additional rubric examples, which I think are going to be really, really helpful. And we've also shared the rubric document that's in progress and the guidelines document that's in progress with them, and they said they'd take a look at that as well and give us some feedback. So I'm really hopeful that we will be seeing some improvements and some information from them that will be useful for us to shape that up. And I'm also interested in what Jennifer was talking about, and for some of these reports that I'm using in, that are doing data analysis on gender issues from census data and other data sources, applying the rubrics to those reports and seeing what happens with that. I think that is a really good idea and another very valid use case to test out the rubric with. So yeah. And then Maria and I are not able to meet this month, so we're not meeting again until May, the end of May, I think, will be the next time we meet. So, but I think we're hoping, the other thing that we're doing is trying to look at the rubric sources that we already used. We also had the recommendation from you all to take a look at if they have any sort of evaluation of how their rubrics have been used. Like, did it work for them? Did they have any feedback for their own rubrics that they developed? And so we've been looking at those as well. We kind of split those up and are taking a look at that. And we've got the new sources, rubric examples from the Gender Studies librarian to review, and then hopefully we'll hear back from them any additional feedback that they have, and then we'll try to work on all of that during this time, and then when we get together in May. So I think it might be after our next Women's Commission meeting, but I can't remember. So it might be a couple meetings here before we've got anything new, but we'll see.
Great. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of background. So usually what I do, we have 3 subcommittees: the policy subcommittee with Commissioner Hardesty and Douglas. The purpose of that subcommittee is to evaluate county policy using a gender equity lens, and they meet monthly most of the time.
Yeah, and what we're working on right now is it's a tool. It's a gender equity rubric that we've been trying to create we've had it in mind for county policies and ordinances to review that in terms of gender equity. But we're also thinking it's something that could be used by any business, any organization in the county, anyone, making it publicly available so that it's something that anybody can make use of if they want to. And potentially we can also be using it here in this data review work that we're doing. So that's figuring out different ways that might work. So we've been contemplating looking at other rubrics that are out there, other ways that people are using gender equity in policymaking and that sort of thing, and trying to come up with something that we could offer up for the county to use. Yeah.
Pretty great.
Sounds really exciting.
It's really good. Anything else you guys to report?
That's it for that.
Awesome. So the data subcommittee is myself and Commissioner Douglas. The purpose is to become more grounded in who we serve through data. We don't have things regularly scheduled, but Julie is a driving force to making me do more work, making me do what I said I would do. So it's very helpful. Then we have the outreach subcommittee, which is Commissioners Roger, Belton, and Otto, the purpose is to elevate the profile of Monroe County Women's Commission programs that support our mission. Current focus is the web design camp, and they meet on Mondays, but it's not regularly scheduled. Do we have a report from Tiana, Jennifer, Molly, anything?
We haven't met. I
So,
don't know if Tiana would have
Tiana?
any updates.
yeah, see, okay, it's perfect because I just stopped. I was going to tell you to wait a second because I need to read it. So, and I apologize a little early because I didn't get to read the message, but they must know we meet on today because I got an email from, hold on, Taylor, which I think that's IU's legal team. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hold on. And she told me, hold on, I got this morning. I saw it pop up when I was in another meeting. I'm sorry, my day has been a lot. Okay. So she sent a message. I'm going to read her message and then I'm going to tell you the changes that she brought. So pretty much she sent a message to Paul and I. Just for context, Paul is the associate dean in the Luddy School who will be the person from the Luddy School overseeing the camp because I'm representing the Women's Commission. And for those of you, I work in the Luddy School, so that's why it'll be a conflict of interest. So she sent a draft. She said we're getting closer to finalizing the web design camp MOU, but there were a couple changes that she wanted to share with you for approval. Attaches a copy of the current draft with comments included to identify the changes that she wanted to highlight for you. These include updating the name of the camp, amount of funding that will be provided by the county, and the date of the agreement's termination. Additionally, we need to include a contact name and address for the person, so Paul has agreed to do that. So I open up the revised web design camp, and they're calling it the web design camp is a program. Okay, it's the middle school, whatever. But the thing that she drew our attention to is it's going to expire December 31st, 2025. So it's pushing us to have the camp before December, of course, before the end of the year. And I had already shared that the amount, did we get any feedback on why the amount changed as well? No, I'm assuming no, we didn't get any feedback for that. So it's not to exceed the $3,500. So they have the MOU. If there's somewhere I can send this, who should I send it to so we can put it on our, it could be in our folder so you all can look at the MOU?
You can send it to me. It's fine.
Okay, I'm going to send it to you. So those are the changes I got. So we're steps closer to having it finally approved, but it expires in December. So we don't have a choice but to do it in the fall, like do it between summer and fall at this point. What are your thoughts? And our subcommittee can meet and discuss it and bring it back to as well.
That works. We can meet and discuss.
Okay, so that's my update that I have. And I just got it today, or else I would have told the committee earlier. I got it at 11 o'clock this morning and just got a chance to read it as I'm talking to you all. So that's the update I have on the camp. So we're closer. So let's meet at the subcommittee, determine what we're going to do next, and then we'll bring it to the meeting, the next meeting.
Sounds good.
Well, that's all I had to share. I'm happy I had something to share.
You have any updates on your health?
Yes. So I'm just looking at, so I got with my manager and we're looking at dates. I do not want to do it in September again because we had that torrential rainstorm. I do have a donor if we are in need of funds to rent a space. I don't know if I want to do it again at the Banneker Center. I was looking for some ideas of some different places that we could do with high traffic. What are your guys' thoughts?
I think
With
that'll
our
get it back.
audience? Anybody?
Go ahead.
I was just contemplating for high traffic, does this need to be something that's just a place that people are generally at because of like businesses around it, or like other events that are happening, like the farmer's market or something like that, or?
You know, we could do it at a farmer's market. The limitation at the farmer's market would be the heat, the machine overheating, because we have that when in the wintertime when it's cold. I just want to get more numbers and get it out to the community because it is a service that we offer and it is free.
Services, can you remind me at least what the services?
We do A1Cs, lipids, blood pressures.
Do we want to coordinate like a longer meeting so we can discuss that in addition to the web camp?
Yeah, we can do that too.
Okay.
That works. She told me that any date I want to do it is pretty good. I just need to come up with a date. I really wanted to have a space before I had a date. I'm not worried about a date. I'm worried about the space.
How big a space do you think you need?
It depends on the quantity of people that we have. So I've done it in spaces as small as this, as out in the foyer. That it just depends on the quantity of people that we have.
How many can you accommodate?
As many as we need.
Okay.
When is that?
What is that? Yeah.
Ellettsville Fall Festival?
Oh, Ellettsville Fall Festival.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The libraries, right?
I just like the idea of a different population, access, and that's a pretty.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm looking for. People who not necessarily don't have the means to know their numbers or know where they stand, their blood pressure, A1Cs, and cholesterol. Just meet them where they are.
Yeah.
So we can meet Tiana and Molly, and you guys can brainstorm. And if you guys have any places that you can think of, Banneker is always an option. It's never off the table. I just think I needed more marketing, and I think the weather was really more my
Yeah, I was contemplating other festivals like
County Fair.
Well, Pride Fest and things, but that's also like it tends to be in August or September, and it might be too hot outside. Yeah.
So we did Pride Fest, and we were in what is that? Indiana in Buskirk. So we had
So they have it. Okay.
So we did that there also, which was good. But we're in competition with IU School of Medicine. We're in competition with other entities throughout IU Health in Monroe County. So
yeah.
And because we want to be. Okay, I'll tell you another festival. The one I was thinking about, sorry, it's not in Monroe County. It's like in Bowling Green, Indiana, so that wouldn't be helpful. But it's another festival. I'll tell you another one later.
okay, thank you.
So the library, I think if they knew about it in advance well enough, they could advertise it in the publication material they put out to do marketing for what they do.
And IU Health puts it out also. So they have their monthly or whatever their little thing that IU Health sends out. It's in there also. Again, last time we just didn't get a good turnout. I don't know if it was due to us not publicizing or the weather, because we had pretty bad weather that day.
Now, because I forgot we talked about it last time, and I didn't realize that even in the directions, and I printed it out so I would, small enough so I could remember to keep it with me all the time. And this is and I had ChatGPT rewrite it for me. So it is a policy memorandum for procedures for obtaining approval for Monroe County Women's Commission activities, which also includes press releases, contracts, MOUs, et cetera, that require approval from the Board of Commissioners. And the following steps for this are review and vote by the commission, which is us, has to be done and publicly, voted publicly. And this does not authorize the activity, but just puts it in motion, then we have to request to be added to the Board of Commissioners agenda. So a designated Women's Commission member would contact the office, request placement on the next available meeting agenda. If the activity involves a legal document, then we must coordinate with the county attorney in advance for a legal review, and then include supporting documentation with our agenda requests, such as signed meeting minutes showing our vote of support, signed documents relative to the proposed activity, and then we attend the Board of Commissioners meeting. A quorum of the Monroe County Women's Commission or the chair on behalf of the commission should attend the BOC meeting, Board of Commissioners meeting, to present the proposal. If no Monroe County Women's Commission member is available, then we must notify the office or the attorney to arrange for presentation support. And then the fourth step would be authorization to proceed. Upon receiving the approval, we may proceed with the proposed activity. It's a procedure that it needs to be approved by the county council for whatever, which would be request of funds, I'm assuming. I'm not sure what else we would need them for. It's relatively the same steps, except we would propose to be added to the board of this county council's agenda. But I didn't want to forget all that again, so I try to keep it with me.
Thank you for that reminder.
Yes, just got to remember. Anyway, okay.
My event wouldn't need their funds, only their approval.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
So yes, we would need, I'm going to say 2 months.
At least, yeah. Because we'd want to have, like, if you all figure out the place and date, whatever, come back, then we can, as a commission, vote to be like, yes, that sounds good. And then it goes through the whole thing of getting on the
Well, we have already
commissioners.
voted on having the activity, so
Right.
we could pull that up. So all we would have to do was, once we finalize the date, would be able to send it in to the commissioners to get it added to the agenda. So at least because in my opinion, we have already voted that this is an approved event.
Okay.
The details are just.
I can agree with that, yes, yes.
Great. Yeah, so it'd kind of be nice maybe if we had, I mean, if one is our goal, then that's great, but if we had two to be able to present to at the time,
I'm gonna
for the rest of the, whatever you want to do is great. Sorry, I lost my spot again.
And that would be, if the MOU for the web design camp gets ironed out, then that is also, because we have to figure out if, like, when and where we want to do that, and that would be another thing that we'd have to take over to the Board of Commissioners for approval.
I don't know that one because I feel like that's already been approved, but I'll check with Molly Turking and ask.
For scheduling and stuff, I wonder if a specific event.
That one, I don't think, no, that one I don't think we have to. That's the purpose of them doing the MOU with Luddy, because they're just paying like the month after we get done. Luddy's doing everything. I don't think we have to take that to them.
Okay, all right. I'll go with that.
So that's our older ongoing business. I don't know of any new business that we have.
I don't have any.
No. Any public comment? Any final words? I am going to call this meeting adjourned. It is 6:20, and thank you everybody for coming.